A very warm welcome to Microsoft Presents ETStudios Security Strokes in association with ETCISO. I'm your host, Divina Lasson. Now, in this power-packed episode, we're going to deep dive into GenAI, Taming the Double-Edged Sword. In this discussion, we talk to CISOs about how India Inc. can leverage GenAI in cybersecurity, the most promising use cases, adoption strategy, and pitfalls that CISOs must watch out for. So, without any further ado, it's with great pleasure that I'd like to welcome my guest today, Srihari Kothni, CISO Pine Labs; Vijay Kumar, Director, Enterprise Architect and SecOps Tata Digital; and Emmanuel Silencio, Cybersecurity Leader, Microsoft Asia. Gentlemen, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Gentlemen, welcome to ET Studios. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Thanks for joining.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
So, we're here to talk about a really fascinating topic, which, of course, is Gen AI and taming the double edged sword. And we're going to deep dive into what each of your points of view is on the subject. Srihari, let's start with you, just to sort of help us lay the foundation. What would you say are some of the biggest concerns when it comes to understanding that, of course, certain malicious parties are going to use Gen AI for attacks? And how serious are these threats? How serious can the attack get?
Right. So we are learning about the threats of generative AI. Every day some new use cases are coming up, right? But I would like to, don't want to touch everything. But if I summarize three major concerns, first one is about the how a deepfake can be used to scam or the gullible employees. So particularly. Someone can create a content that like a CEO is calling a person saying that, look, I've been trying to reach out to you. You are not available. Send some data or send some money
Yeah.
to this particular ID. So deepfakes with respect to the audio as well as video as well as emails are
Yeah.
actually becoming a
Yeah.
reality these days, right? The second thing is today you have legitimate information available in different pockets, right? Which you don't think it's a leakage, but generative AI can consolidate the different pockets of data available, and it can actually make a quite significant data leakage may happen, and which will damage the reputation of the organizations, right? Third one is typically generative AI can be used to propagate misinformation because the employees and for various operations they sometimes depend on the external sources, right? Whether it can be some kind of reusable code or open source technologies or some kind of information outside, or maybe they are depending on some external portals, etc. So generative AI can actually combine these things and pose a kind of fake information
Yeah.
and
Sure.
fake data to the people which they actually use it, they get compromised, right? So generative AI also can be a fast learning, and depending on the person, the position, the role, it can actually create a kind of outlook that the person is interacting with a very legitimate
Yes.
website,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
that
Yes.
can actually seriously
Yes.
impact the organizations,
Yeah.
its revenues, its reputation, its also operationally,
Yeah. Absolutely.
it can cause a severe impact to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
people and
But in your experience so far, how severe are the threats and how serious and real are they as it stands today?
right. So so far with the capabilities concerned, it is really grave, but we are yet to see major incidents in this case, because probably the exploit is happening in a lower scale, or maybe exploits are actually still not recognized or not reported at. But the kind of capabilities what I'm saying with the generative AI, yes, it's a clear and explicit danger for the entire I mean any organization depending on the IT and digitization.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Yeah.
But at the user level and as the individual level and as the employee level, we are already experiencing the attacks
Sure.
in
Yeah.
a smaller scale. But actually, yeah, I mean the data leakages, I can't call it smaller scale, but the mostly it is targeting the individuals
Yes,
so
yes,
far.
yes, yes, yes. Lots to look out for. But going from the threats to the use cases, Vijay, if you can help us understand a little bit about what are some of the best use cases that you've seen till now, and how do you plan to really employ Gen AI in your plans moving forward?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I'll first complete the how part in a more common words.
Sure.
How we can see the how dangerous it could be for
Okay.
organization.
Okay.
It's helping a good people, right? But
Yes.
it's also helping the hackers too.
Of
So
course.
good people, it may be helping 2x, 3x, right? For the hackers, helping more than 10x.
Wow. All right.
And
Okay.
we are
Okay.
from corporates, right?
Yeah.
So corporates have their processes. You need to take the approval. You need to convince the finance guy to give us a quotation money to go ahead and use their tools, right?
Yes.
Hacker don't, right?
Yes.
Anything is working for them, they'll go ahead and use it right away
Sure. Yeah.
without wasting any
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the power it's giving to us as well,
Okay.
where we are it individually as well. It's helping us so many places, and for the corporates as well, it's giving us many opportunity to optimize our processes. And continuing to your question about the use cases, the current immediate few things which we can do very quickly, like we can have a personalization recommendation for a user. We can all the content which we are creating using the agency, right? That can be optimized further, and few of them we have already start using that.
Yes.
And another thing about the chatbot, we have our own data, right? On top of that, you can utilize GenAI to create or make it easier for our employee to
Yeah.
find any specific
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
And going forward, so many things, right? Even if we can provide a dashboard to our business user in a natural languages, instead of looking for all the dashboard, PPTs and all, they can directly write a question using, and GenAI, we can power that anything like what are the forecasts of the business today,
Yeah.
how many user is going to be registered, right? So their time, we can also optimize their time to focus on the core businesses instead of look at the PPT, understand it more, right? And PPT updation and this dashboard takes time, right? Using the GNA, we can provide that information very quickly.
Sure. Sure. So simplicity, automation,
And
really
optimizing the company
optimization.
organization workflow as well, it can be very much helpful.
Okay. Wonderful.
And we can do it very quickly, right? GenAI gives us power, so instead of earlier, before that, we are taking so many times to do anything. So using GenAI, we can implement few features in a week,
Okay.
10 days, 15 days.
Yep.
So many things we have done
Sure.
that
Sure.
as a part of our organization as well.
Yep, absolutely. So, Emmanuel, we've just heard about some of the very positive and useful utilization of GenAI. But however, it is said that certain CISOs and CIOs still view GenAI as sort of a shiny new object. What are your views on this? How quick and how widespread is the adoption as you've seen it from your vantage point?
Yeah, I think that it's similar to the age of when we first got the first search engine.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
when you think about the search engine 20 odd years ago, there was people who searched for recipes on how to cook, their favorite meals, etc. And there were people that searched for how to make malicious, intent in
Yep.
terms of weapons,
Yep.
etc.
Yep.
How to make a bomb or a gun or whatever it might be. And so we're at that point now with generative AI where people are experimenting, and back to the point where employees are wanting to be more efficient. And a lot of the surveys that we've undertaken
Yep.
with those employees that have started to use in the trials is saying they would prefer to have a co-pilot rather than a free
Sure.
lunch,
Yep.
because they would prefer to have more time to finish their work earlier rather than weekends, late
Yeah.
nights, etc.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
spend the time with family. And from a security perspective, we know that attackers only have one job, but us as defenders have many jobs.
Yeah.
And so it's really difficult to defend somebody who has their, chosen set of tools that they are very strong and proficient with and
Sure.
have learned how to use, when we have so many other things that we need to do on a day-to-day basis. So certainly there is this concern over, are we distracting the workforce
Yep.
rather than are we empowering them? And the analogy I use is I'm too busy to learn about this new technology.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I liken it to the cartoon I've seen of the old days with the wheelbarrow with the square wheel and somebody showing them there's a new round wheel. And no, go away, I'm too busy
Yeah.
pushing the wheelbarrow up the hill. We're at that point now where there's going to be a little I guess, compromise to productivity in the short term to get the long-term
Sure.
benefits.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wonderful. Srihari, coming back to you when, we're talking about defense as well, and you've laid out for us some of the big threats that we must look out for. Would you say that existing security measures are sort of strong enough to counter the potential threats, advanced ransomware and so on?
To counter the threats, a fundamental defense and unfortunately not so reliable defense is the awareness,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So, I mean, like in the national level, in the society, or at the organization level, no amount of awareness is actually enough, right? Because we are still seeing the increase of frauds, scams,
Yeah.
etc. Right? So one is the continue investing in awareness. So typically to counter the threats of genai, and we are also using the genai to provide the the awareness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
someone is actually, if there a threat is there with the deep fake video, and we are actually creating a deep fake video and telling the employees
Yeah.
that this is how the deep fake video looks
Yes.
like,
Yes. Yes.
right? So yes, awareness is actually the fundamental, but we are investing a lot of the generative AI actually made it easier, but that still remains as the main ingredient to counter against the generative AI based attacks. But the other attacks which hackers use the generative AI, actually they are becoming more efficient, right, by using the tools, right? So we have to be faster than them
Yeah.
in order to protect the organizations from different attacks, right? So the kind of prevention against such kind of attacks fundamentally may remain same, but they have to be more effective and more faster and more advanced technology that we use AI and ML based, or the various advanced tools to proactively detect and to have a very comprehensive and all-round security control posture,
Yeah.
right? And the other thing is actually, as Manny has been mentioning, right, it is increasing the efficiency of the employees, right? So infosec team has been using GenAI tools more than ever. Since we actually adapted early. Everyone have to adopt this new techniques faster, whether it's awareness or whether it is you have overwhelming information. Infosec guy, when the attack is happening, he has to depend on many tools, so much of data. But using the Gen AI tools, actually you are able to combine different threat actors together, and you can actually act faster. And of course, certain automation, we don't call them AI obviously, but yes, those can be triggered using the AI. Whether, for example, SOAR tools, right? As the attack comes, we can actually immediately act against them, right? Yes, the protection against the attacks by AI requires it's a difficult. It
Yes.
requires a lot of effort, planning, strategy, and increased investments, etc. Yes, but then we have to get up for that.
Yep. Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. Vijay, let's get you in on this. So now, really hearing both sides of the coin, the threats, the potential use cases. How would you say you would sort of summarize the top three objectives that every CISO should keep in mind when adopting Gen AI, especially for cybersecurity purposes?
So we can't live with that, right? Because as is give powers to us, gives power to hacker as
Yeah.
well. So before adapting the core thing which CISO, even the dev team as well, right? Because as of now we are keep saying, right, ki security team will do the testing at the
Yeah.
different stages. Dev team we wanted to do that ki the security the way of we are doing the coding, that's how it should be implemented the security at that stage
Yeah.
itself. Somewhere it's happening, most of the places is not happening. Now is the right time and there is no option at all.
All right.
When GenAI comes into the picture, you have to bring that culture into the dev team. You
Yes.
should not rely only on the security team to do the testing at the end and wait for result to, then we will be always behind the power which the hacker is having as of now.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
earlier we have an option to like, okay, no issue, we'll go to the security at the SIT or production end before production, but now it has to be embedded into the culture of the development
Yeah.
because the developer are using those tools to build these things, right?
Absolutely.
Which is already based on the large LLM and all those things.
Yeah.
So if they don't aware about those things, because we can do the use cases quite quickly as well. So if you don't bring that, then we are going to face multiple challenges.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, I agree with him actually. So we have to be on top of the curve.
Yes. 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 Yes.
What happened till now as well? Even these days, still, when it goes to the status where security team says something, dev team always, oh no, it can't be an issue. They are always in a denial mode. So we have to bring that culture back into the dev
Yes.
team. They are also our help. They are helping us to make sure
Sure.
we are safe.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around.
Absolutely. Yes.
If we are not doing right now, then we have to pay a lot of
In the
impact
long
on
run.
the business,
Yeah.
impact on money, and
Yeah.
so many things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
efforts may be optimized, like InfoSec becomes more efficient in terms of testing and also communicating effectively, right? For example, you take a finding to the development teams, they said prove it. They say prove it. So probably with generative AI, yes, see the picture here, right? See the future, right? So yeah, so it actually improves our communication.
Yes.
With the different stakeholders
Yes.
to perceive that
Interesting.
the threat
Okay.
is real, and yes, so we can get the remediation.
And this is a
So
common
basically
question. Security will always here, prove us how it's going to be
prove it.
breakable.
Right.
But genai don't have, right? Because it will give so many facets of challenges. Till the time they prove it, you are already gone.
Not sure. Yeah.
So
All right.
we will be in denial mode till we face the music, right? So obviously, this communication actually helps.
Communication,
Actually.
collaboration across teams. Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful.
And the
yeah.
more stories in the market and outside, the more yes, it makes our communication easier.
Yes,
Maybe
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Examples, case studies, use
Yes.
cases. Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful. Emmanuel, same question to you. What would you say in summary would be some of the best practices that you would put forward for CISOs when it comes to really embracing Gen AI and all that it has to offer in cybersecurity and in general use in the organization?
I think the pendulum has swung where the priorities for most of our CISOs was around protecting the windows and the doors to the building, in an analogy,
Yes.
to now we actually need to really secure the safe.
Yeah.
And the safe in this instance is data security, right? And making sure, particularly from insider risk as well as
Sure.
external, is the data correctly classified? Has it been identified? Is it structured, unstructured?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that is the biggest concern now around privacy, compliance, and governance. It's no longer so much around just the threat and the how do we use the right tools at that time. It's assume breach now, and how do we assume that and make sure that our assets as an organization are protected, not just from external attackers, but also from internal. You know, we're seeing a trend now as well of the gig economy, right? Of also low and slow, providing some employees, compromising some of the employees of companies
Yeah. Yeah.
with a one-time payment to provide a spreadsheet or customer list or some data as well. So this is one of the big challenges, is now protecting not just externally, but the generative AI tools are a great asset.
Yes.
But again, with all great tools, they can be weaponized. Again, giving faster access to information can help us be more productive, but it can also make our attackers far more
Yes,
productive as
yes,
well.
Yes.
So they're the things that we now see that as a hot topic, rather than what is the best endpoint protection or
Sure,
identity
yeah,
protection.
yeah.
Still extremely important,
Yeah.
but I think we've all invested quite heavily there in the last 5+ years, particularly through the pandemic. But now it's really around data security and making sure that the crown jewels and the information of the organization is now something that is top priority,
Yes.
rather than the perimeter and the
Yes.
doors and windows.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing all your insights on Gen AI and taming the double-edged sword as our topic for today. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to have you on Studios.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on that note, that's all we have for you on this edition of Microsoft Presents ETStudios Security Strokes in association with ETCISO. But do stay tuned and join us for more in-depth and insightful conversations. Until next time, many thanks for watching.